Yo, what's up, everyone? My name is Andrew Warren, and as you can see, we had an absolutely crazy stock market day, and I'm about up, I believe, like 4.67% in total if you count today and the after hours of the market. And as you can see, it sort of gradually just went up and up and up towards the very end of the day. This was a nice $2,900 gain. I think, to be completely accurate, it's like $2,919. And that is an extremely significant stock market gain, especially given this current situation that we have. It's just, the market is blowing my mind right now. I really can't believe it. And I'm starting to just accept whatever I'm seeing right now because it seems like logic is not applying here and the market is going to do what it wants to do regardless. So I guess I just need to go with the flow, but I'm certainly going to be cautious about purchasing stocks right now. I'm not a huge fan of the idea of purchasing anything. I'd honestly just like to see how it all plays out first before I purchase anything. I think I just prefer to sit on the sidelines right now and just watch everything. And if you just missed it just a second ago when I showed that, we are finally even. We are past baseline for my initial investment. So I'm actually up 2.43%. Let's get it. I'm actually not in the negative anymore, which is awesome because I'm not gonna lie, when I got down to this point, I was like, man, it's so unfortunate that I had to start just 3 months ago. And obviously that's better than starting, like on February 19th. But I just thought it's so unfortunate that I had to start right before this big significant drop after such a long bull market. But honestly, this is looking more like a V-shaped recovery, just like many people have been saying. But I think that there's still a lot of potential for there to be an even greater crash that's going to go even lower than this point in the future. However, I'm just going to see what happens with the market. There's nothing that I can really predict. That's why they say don't try to predict the market or don't try to time the market. And before I go on, I just want to say, as always, these videos are not intended to be financial advice or anything like that. They're simply just me sharing my opinions and my thoughts about the market and the moves that I'm making. But in reference to not wanting to time the market, I will just bring up sort of an example that I saw a few weeks ago, and it was someone that made a post that was sort of dissing everyone else that thought that maybe March 23rd was the market bottom. They were saying basically anybody that thought this was the actual bottom was ridiculous, and it was the typical anonymous comment saying that they got out of the market and sold all their stocks before the drop and then doubled their portfolio by putting a lot of money into puts. But now I have to admit, I can only imagine what that person is thinking right now, because I can guarantee the person that said they sold before the drop, they were predicting a big economic downturn, just like a lot of us were, honestly. But I can only imagine, because I know for sure that person had to have still held on to those puts even as it was raising up a little bit here. So that's just a big example of why you really don't want to time the market, because that person thought that they were smarter than everyone else in the market currently. So they tried to sell near the peak of this right here. And of course it might have looked good for a while there up until March 23rd, but then we've seen this rebound over the past few weeks. And I have to admit, I do wonder what that person is thinking right now, because it was one of those people that thinks they're an absolute genius and they know exactly where the market is going and it's so predictable. And I remember replying to their Reddit post and I was just saying, basically nobody knows anything. None of us can predict anything right now. And that's just why I choose to just invest in things and hold them for the long term. And if it drops or it increases in price, then just whatever happens, happens. I just keep it in there. And I personally think that the easiest way to deal with the stock market and be consistent is to just buy and hold long-term high-quality stocks. And that's exactly what I was doing. And I was sort of telling them that you really can't predict the market, even if it looks completely obvious like what we're seeing right now. It looked obvious, even with this rebound right here, that it would crash even more. And I think that it's a big possibility that it will do so in the future. But up until that point, it just proves the fact that you really can't time the market to a date or to a certain time in the future. And now, because of that person that thought they could time the market, they are probably losing a lot of money on puts right now, because they probably filed it somewhere in this range, and then now we're back up to that. So they've either gained very little and it's about the same as them not selling any of their stocks and putting it into puts, or they may actually be in the negative right now because they tried to time the market. So I just wanted to bring up that little bit of like a personal example, because you see a lot of people theorizing what they think is going to happen into the market, but that was just an example of one person that thought they were smarter than everyone else and could time the market, and now it looks like they ended up just like everybody else that simply bought and hold, or they could actually be in the negative right now because of that move with options. And I just wanted to reference that example because this just feels like one of those perfect times that exemplify why you don't want to time the market, or personally why I don't want to time the market, and I just buy and hold long term, and whatever happens in the meantime happens, but it'll eventually correct itself and gain in the future, at least in my opinion. Now, with me referencing that example, I'm not saying that I believe we're in a total bull market right now and that it's not going to drop even lower than this point, but I'm just showing an example of what has happened in the meantime up until the next drop, if that next drop does happen, in which I believe it will happen. And I don't think that we have hit the bottom, but honestly, I'm just going to let it happen, let the waves hit the shore, whatever happens, happens. And I'm just sort of content with that because I have faith long term. Even if it does go even lower than this point right here, it's just going to be a temporary setback. The market always goes up in the long term. If you look at some of the lowest points in the stock market and some of the biggest drops, it may have taken a while to recover, but it eventually does recover, and as you can see right here, we hit all-time peaks in the stock market. Now, the only person that is going to have a problem with it taking a little bit of time to recover and get back to that original point is someone that probably needs the money sometime soon in the future, and with that, I personally have to say, if you need the money anytime soon, then that's not really suitable to be invested in the stock market, because the whole point of investing long-term is to utilize money and invest money that you are not going to need. So that's what I have to say about that, but I will say I am very happy with today's growth, and although I'm sort of realizing that it's still not realistic in my opinion, I'm just going to let it happen now and accept the fact that I don't really believe that it's realistic. But like I said, I'm just going to go with the flow, and whatever happens, happens. It's a long-term gain for me, and it's not really a big deal regardless of what happens. But I'll certainly be excited about a $2,900 gain, and if the market does decide to drop at a reasonable price to where stocks are on sale, then that just gives me the opportunity to buy stocks at a lower price to get more gains potentially in the future. So anyways, I'm just going to show a breakdown. As you can see with my holdings today, VOO gained 3.16%. So a pretty significant amount. We're down 10% still with VOO. That's actually a lot of money, $3,400. But we got a nice $936 gain today, which I'm pretty happy with. And then, of course, Microsoft did very well to me. As expected, on a green day, Microsoft does well. But I got a nice $800 gain with Microsoft, 5.07%. And we're actually pretty far into the positive already with Microsoft. We're up 9.36%. And then with Apple, it did very well also. I got a nice $596 gain, 5.20%. And we are positive with Apple as well, baby. Let's get it. And then we have Tesla, which today Tesla just went on another tear. I'll be talking about this in a separate video most likely, so I'm not going to break it down too much, but I will show my gains, which was 9.42% or $490. And we are only just a slight bit negative with Tesla now, minus 12.25%, minus $795. I'll definitely accept that considering I was down 35% just a few days ago. So we will take that for sure. But anyways, I just wanted to share this portfolio update with you all, share my thoughts about the market. I'm still being super cautious, and I feel like this isn't currently reflecting our current surrounding situations. But like I said, I'm just going to go with the flow, and it is what it is. Whatever happens, I'm in it for the long term, and this is just going to be a blip on the radar, with this being a long-term gain for me. And also, just to take a look at some stocks out of pure curiosity, let's go ahead and check out CCL. As you can see today, it got a nice, about a 10% gain. As you can see here, it actually just bumped up for after hours. So Carnival Cruise Lines is currently at $12.65. Now, I will admit this was looking a little bit attractive under the $10 price tag, and I feel like if there is another stock market drop in the future within the next few months or so, Carnival Cruise Lines is going to be one of those that is going to be hit super hard, in my opinion. And I think that under $10 price tag will happen once again in the future. And absolutely if another stock market crash happens. And I have to admit, this is certainly an interesting stock for me. And one of the main reasons that I find this interesting is simply for the rebound gain. I don't think that this is a good long-term stock, although it does have a super high dividend yield. As you can see over the past 5 years, even before the recent drop, if you look at the recent peak on January 17th, it was only up 7.70% for the past 5 years. And as I always say, you can get about a 10% gain every year with VOO if this page will load. If you look at VOO before the most recent drop, it was up 61%, but usually the general trend is about a 10% gain for VOO every year. And considering that it's pretty easy to get about 10% every year, that is one of the reasons why I don't consider CCL a good long-term stock, because as you can see over the past 5 years, even if you invested way back on April 17th, you would only be up 7.70%, which is not very good whatsoever, at least in my opinion. But CCL is certainly interesting at this point for me, just because once this situation is finally over with, I think that cruise lines will eventually bounce back up to that baseline, this general trend right here, which is in the $46 to $71 range, which I'd say about $45 to $50 would be baseline. So these current $12 stocks could eventually be $45 to $50 just in about a year or so. So that rebound could be super significant compared to some of the rebounds on a lot of other stocks like Microsoft. As you can see, we've already gotten almost like a rebound on Microsoft, and it went up a little bit, but it wasn't like an opportunity for a super high rebound like you would get for a CCL, as you can see here. So that's one of the main reasons I do think that this is interesting. Like I said, I don't think it's a great long-term stock, but simply for the rebound gains, for the short-term gains, once this situation is hopefully all over with, I think there is some opportunity to have some gains there. But that is just my opinion on it, and I may do a more in-depth video on Carnival in the future, but I just thought I would share my thoughts on it. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and if you did, please make sure to smash that like button. It really does help me get my videos recommended to newer viewers here, and we've been growing this channel so much lately to you all showing love on the videos and interacting with the videos, so I really appreciate everyone subscribing. And also, if you want to get started with investing, feel free to use my referral links in the top of the description and in the top of the comment section below. If you sign up to my referral links with Robinhood and Webull, we'll both get a free stock, which is pretty awesome. And here's just a few examples of the free stocks that I've received so far. But I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week.